Click, click, clickety click. Greetings, people of YouTube. How's it going? It's been a long time since I've done a opinion thing, and this one is going to be about constructive criticism, or what it's perceived to be on the interwebs. That's the only place I'm going to talk about. And obviously there are many places constructive criticism is used at, but we're not going to be touching on that. We're going to be touching on mostly YouTube and stuff around it. And because this subject may be somewhat annoying, the video will be accompanied by pleasant images of happiness. So, first context, why this came about. About 2 days ago, someone commented on my video, which is Take on Mars, the Let's Review thing. And it all started with a comment about that they had like two concerns about the video. One was that, oh my god, it's a early access game, you're not allowed to make reviews. And the second one was something I said in the very beginning, about in a 30 seconds in, which is I think as how much they watched it, about the version of the game. That I said it was like, because the game is 0.9 something, and I was like, well, it seems like it's if you judge by the version, that it's probably close to being complete. And so to reply to the first concern, which is about the reviewing games that are in early access, I strongly feel that if something is sold, it can be reviewed. That's it. There's as simple as that. And I feel that it's very hard to argue with. I mean, you can disagree, but I don't think there's a point arguing about that. That's really it. It's a product. It's on sale. Someone can look at it and see what they feel like, if it's any good or not. That's how sort of review and criticism works. And it may, for one thing, it may never even be finished. We had several examples of that, or we had examples of things being forever in early access, and we've had things being either dumped or dished out unfinished, etc., from early access on Steam. So there's also that. But the second concern is sort of more simple. I'm just going to briefly say, so what my thought on it was that, yes, there are exceptions. Sometimes the version is reverted, but most of the time, the higher the version of the game, or whatever piece of software, I guess, it suggests that it's closer to being released. But yes, sometimes when you switch from alpha to beta, the version number goes down, etc. It does happen. Exceptions happen. It's also possible that this life is but a dream, but we still continue living it, or most of us do, as if it's not. So, exceptions. But then this devolved into like a shitstorm, and with, in the end, the person calling me a loser because I don't have many subscribers. But somewhere in the middle, between the initial concerns and me being a loser, they were sort of surprised that I'm kind of arguing back about things, because obviously they were giving me constructive criticism, and hence this video. So there is a this weird hello phone. You always do that when I'm recording. Thank you, phone. Anyway, there is this. I feel that I've seen a lot of it. There is this kind of almost cloned opinion about constructive criticism, or what it's meant to be, and I think it's misinterpreted, or I don't know if it's intentional or not, and where exactly this is coming from, because there's a lot of like this cookie cutter idea of what constructive criticism is and when you're meant to use it, and I feel like it's mostly used by the younger viewers among us, and it's a bit annoying. It's strange. I don't know if you've encountered it, but let's take a look at, before we go to discussing what it is and what it's meant to be. Let's, for example, to have a point of reference, go to a Wikipedia description of what a constructive criticism is. And it's probably not the best definition in the world, but it's something to continue on. So let's take a look. Constructive criticism is the process of offering valid and well-reasoned opinions about the work of others, usually involving both positive and negative comments in a friendly manner rather than an oppositional one. Tone I was going to read, but I guess it does say one. The purpose of constructive criticism is to improve the outcome in collaborative work, this kind of criticism is a valuable tool in raising and maintaining performance standards. Again, this is someone's like opinion of what it is. It's not, I mean, you know, again, A, it's Wikipedia, 2, it doesn't really have any sources in this case. But it continues, and I think that the second small paragraph is more important. It says, constructive criticism must always focus on the work rather than the person. Personality issues must always be avoided. Constructive criticism is more likely to be embraced if the criticism is timely, and I think that's very important, clear, specific, detailed, and another very important bit is actionable. And the constructive criticism bit in the context I provided in regards to those comments, I think was, and they actually said this. The person said that I was trying to be professional, clearly, and hence they wanted to help me by giving me some points, or helpful points, or something like that. And this is kind of the root of the origin of the problem, the root of the problem. I feel that partially the situation with constructive criticism is that somewhere kids are told that you have to, if you're criticizing something, it has to be constructive. And this is not true. You can have destructive criticism or whatever. And I think that's fine. I know it sounds weird, but I think it's fine. I think it's fine if you watch a video and then you write, this is crap. And I think that is a lot better than if you watch a video, think that it's crap, and then try to give constructive criticism. This may be a not very popular opinion, but I don't know, I feel very strongly about it. And the reason that this is that I think it is this way is because if you try to disguise any kind of unhappiness with what you saw, or you experienced, what media you consumed, and then try to coat it into some kind of pleasantness or an attempt to, or pretense to help, or an attempt to help, I think you just exaggerated and kind of inflate the perception of initial of you being unhappy with it, for example. Or you do more damage, let's put it simply. You do more damage by trying to pretend that you are helping than by actually just saying, like, you know what, this is shit. And again, I think it's a lot more valuable to say this is shit. Same way, you can also do the opposite. You don't have to give constructive criticism. You can say, I like it. And that's fine. I think that the comment section on YouTube is there so that you can do whatever you want in comment section, so to speak. So it's not there to give constructive criticism or this criticism. It's not predetermined. It's a comment section. You can write any comment you like. But because I think there is this concept that people have in their heads that no, if you are doing criticism, it has to be constructive, and that's when you're the good guy or whatever, or a good person. That is part of the reason why this kind of shit storms are happening. Because if you all give that kind of bullshit constructive criticism where you are condescending to someone in attempt to help them, and as long as they have a functioning brain that understand this is what's going on, and they're not going to like it, they're not going to follow up on your criticism. B, they're probably going to hate you for doing this. And C, you failed. Like, you haven't achieved anything. If you wanted to make them feel bad, you could have just said, you know what, this is shit. As opposed to wasting your time and their time, and we all kind of pretending that this is constructive. Another thing is the whole timely thing, and which I read in the definition that I was looking at just now. And that's very important, because that's another problem that I think people who are going around the internet doing constructive criticism is that they feel often, again, I feel that this is just this younger generation who is having this issue currently. But, I mean, most people, I guess, go around video game stuff online are probably younger than me. And anyway, so they have this perception that it's any place is appropriate to give constructive criticism. As long as there is a place to comment, you can start giving constructive criticism. And usually it's the kind of constructive criticism that I just mentioned before. The one where it's actually an insult, but as if presented in a constructive form. And that's just not true. This is kind of the sea lion comic thing, if you've seen it, where this is, I think the sea lion thing was about the Gamergate, but it also kind of, it does make sense because I've seen a lot of the Gamergate people also doing that kind of thing where they they feel that any situation you can just open a discussion, and that is not true. That is just, life is just a bit more complex than that. It's not appropriate, and even if you're doing it well, you're not. It's not appropriate any time to start giving advice. And to put it, I guess, more simply, unsolicited advice is worse than you're just hating on someone in whatever, in comments or something, giving advice. Maybe a lot of people will disagree. I don't know, but I feel very strongly about this. I'd rather someone be like, oh man, you're shit at this, than them trying to help me and pretend they're help me and condescend and be like, well, I see that you are trying to be professional, and I'm just here to help. Because like you're coming from the street, so to speak. I have no idea who you are. What makes you think that I would like to receive your advice? At the very least, I think what people need to learn to do, which is again just to like the basic politeness thing, possibly, is to ask if someone would like help with something, as opposed to dish it out, or if someone would like an advice with something, as opposed to just dish it out. And just doing that one extra step is going to mitigate, even if you're after that trying to be a bit of an asshole, even that is going to be slightly mitigated because you got their permission to give them advice. And I've seen also, for example, some people on some Twitch streamers having in the rules of their page stuff like, no, do not give me advice on the game unless I ask you to give me advice on the game, which again hints to this sort of being a pervasive situation and problem where it's considered just fine to dish out advice to people. And probably an additional thing is that I don't think I've mentioned this before, is it does matter who gives that advice and who gives that constructive criticism. Because for me personally, to accept criticism, I need to have at least for some kind of idea about who the person is. I don't think it's fine to accept criticism from anyone, like someone just randomly appears and provides even if it's good, even if it's valuable, because there is a degree of, like, you need to have a degree of respect for the person who is giving that advice. You need to some kind of idea that yes, they are in a position to give me advice, because I honestly don't think that any fucker can give me advice, not because I'm amazing, but because they have, I do have experience and skills in certain, and everyone does. I'm not saying that just about me. I don't think anyone should accept advice from anyone at any time. This would create chaos, and nothing would really improve. And that bit is also often ignored because people feel, I don't know, it's entitled, I guess, that, you know what, I am a consumer, which means I can dish out advice or whatever, something like that, which is somewhat strange. And I think it's much better to say what you want and speak from a personal standpoint than from a standpoint where you're sort of this almost omniscient observer trying to help someone out. So to say that, you know what I would like to see in this video, or in that whatever, whatever you are trying to comment on. And again, that immediately makes things a lot better, because you're talking about your own needs, as opposed to, you know what, I don't really care, but I think you're doing this and this wrong, and let's improve it. But yes, I am a nobody. But if you, instead of that, even if you have no prior communication with the person, but you talk about like you as their viewer, as their audience, as their reader, as their consumer, you point out what you would like to see. That's also kind of a criticism, sort of, because you are essentially saying it's not there, but you're coming out of your personal desires and not trying to tell them that they fucked up, even though you may or may not be in a position, to do that. So that immediately makes things better. So to summarize, I'm not sure I should have made this video, but I felt like I don't know, this was something that kept coming up, and I wanted to talk about it, and hopefully this was useful to, or mildly entertaining to some. At least maybe you enjoyed the background, the happy pictures. So to summarize, basically, what's going on. It would be cool if people of the world would slightly adjust, or a lot of people would slightly adjust their understanding of constructive criticism, and understand that it's not always appropriate. You're not always in position to give it. Unsolicited advice could be worse than saying that everything sucks. And if you are trying to give to make something change, if you're trying to give feedback, I think that's the word I was looking for. If you're trying to give feedback, give it, most of the time it's more appropriate to give it from a personal standpoint. And if you do feel inclined that you want to give suggestions, etc., about them improving their life or whatever, then it would be best for you to ask permission to do that. It's just nice. It's friendly way of doing it. If you do feel that you are in position and have to do it, then ask if it's okay to do it, and be okay if it's not okay to do it. And I think that will reduce the amount of shitstorms on the interwebs potentially, and frustration and annoyance of people with each other. But that's essentially what I want to say. Again, I'm not sure this is useful to anyone, but at least it was useful to me to, I guess, summarize this and talk about this in such a manner. So thank you for being my audience and helping me help myself, I guess. Bye.